Coach, you want to go ahead?
Just a quick note. We're coming to the end of the semester academically. To be academic all Big Ten, you have to have been in school for a year and then meet all the other criteria. We had 91 guys eligible, and 71 made it, which is the highest percentage, according to Dennis LeBlanc, that we've ever had. So credit to all those young men for what they're doing in the classroom. Special note is to Bryce Benhart, who did it for the 5th time. So, obviously, first year he couldn't do it, so he's been here for 6 years. He's done it 5 times. And that's, to me, that's the Nebraska way. So with that, I'll answer your questions.
Matt, what's your secondary coach situation with Coach Butler moving to the defensive coordinator spot?
Yeah, he's had Adam DeMichael with him all year. Tariq, our GA, has been with him all year. So he's handling that with those 2 guys right now. We will hire a secondary coach. We actually have some people in for interviews today and tomorrow. So, or not talk to, whatever you call it. So there's a process. We'll follow it, but we should have something pretty soon.
Can you take us through your decision to hire John as a defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I was very, very, very methodical. I talked to John about his vision. I interviewed probably 5 people, 6 people. There were a lot of parameters to me that mattered. The least of which was the optics. I was like, I didn't care about making a splash or anything like that. I wanted to make the right decision. As I've said, Coach Kevin McGarry, who's been here the last couple of years, I think he told one of the candidates, that coming here is is a defensive coordinator's dream. We practice a certain way, we play a certain way. So I wanted to get the right person. I talked to a lot of great candidates. There was a ton of interest from sitting defensive coordinators. But I thought I really like what we've done the last 2 years. I thought we maybe took a step back defensively a little bit this year in some areas. But I like what we've done. I like the overall general philosophy. And so, but to win moving forward, and this is something that, a mentor of mine, Phil Snow, said to me. He said, Matt, to win moving forward, the things we're doing, the havoc that we're creating is great on, 3rd down, to be 1st and 2nd down. To be great moving forward on 3rd down, some of the stuff that we've done in the NFL, 3rd down packages, 2nd and long packages versus the teams who can really throw it. Like, we can go out, we played good against Iowa, but, Iowa's a running team. To be able to stop the offenses that we're going to need to stop, that can drop back and spin the ball. We're going to need some advanced, I think, defense on 3rd down, 2-minute, red zone. And as I went through that, John had the top secondary in the NFL for 5 years. There was a lot of outpouring from our current players, guys I really respect. And, I'm not going to make that decision because of that, but I think they felt like, some of the current guys in the secondary felt like after 3 or 4 years in college, John had brought a professionalism and a next-level mentality to them that they thought was going to prepare them for the next level. Some of them had no business, they're leaving, so they didn't have to say that to me. So I think it was just a combination of who can add to what we're already doing at a high level, who can bring some things secondary-wise to really help us, and after working with John for a year, I thought he was really, really professional, really good to work with, great evaluator, and excited for him.
John's talked about this a little himself, but how have you seen him adjust this fall to the college game after he had that decade in the NFL and coaching a different type of player?
So I think the transition, to be asked to come make that transition in late July is really hard. I think John will tell you one of the things early on, he just had to concentrate on the guys that were playing, which is not what we want to be. Like, we want to be a developmental, work with the young players, get them better. I think about halfway through the year, I think John kind of took a step back and really kind of started to pour into the younger players, because knowing, hey, we need these guys. But to ask someone to come in and learn a different system, Tony White's system, in July is really difficult. And so I think he had to just kind of concentrate on the gifts and the Deshaun's. And I think Deshaun played his best ball this year, So, but when I sat there and looked at the second bye week and I looked at bowl practice, I looked at what like Donovan Jones is doing and Braylon Prude and Caleb Benning and Amari Sanders and Larry Tarver and all these young players, Mario Buford. And what I've seen them really make some jumps, like some real jumps. And so it might have not have been the trajectory was going early on, but I think a lot of that was just difficult. And then I think I think they've really made that. But, we're going to hire a secondary coach who's in alignment with John. I think the biggest thing is his ability to game plan opponents, the way he sees it. Again, I think we've done a lot of good things in 2 years. I think some areas, though, like red zone defense, some of the things on third down, are opportunities for us to get better. And I think a lot of that will come down to coverage and more advanced coverage and blitz packages.
How do you envision Phil Snow's role on this staff?
Well, he's not officially hired, so I can't really talk about him. What I will say is if I did hire someone in a sort of like a elder statesman role, like some of the, I talked to a Hall of Fame coach, and he talked to me about having someone like that. And John's been a coordinator before. John needs no help. I don't believe that, but I do think in today's college football, when you're like looking around, this job as a head coach is a juggernaut. There's way more to do here than I had to do in the NFL. And so having someone over there on defense, seeing the big picture, whether it's portal evaluations or evaluating your own guys, or making sure at the end of the day we're still doing the old school fundamentals of running to the ball and tackling. I thought our tackling has fallen off this year. I don't think we played as hard this year running to the balls maybe we had the year before in some areas. And so I want someone, kind of a big picture person that can help and assist in those areas. I have no doubt about John Butler's ability to game plan and to put us in the best position possible. But it's kind of those developmental, fundamental principles and building blocks that I want to make sure, as I have a whole new staff on defense, that there's someone there who believes what I believe. As I said, Coach Snow's not hired yet. When I did work with him, at Baylor, he was probably one of the top. He was a Broyles finalist that last year at Baylor, and we had the second year in the NFL. He had the number 2 ranked defense, so he's obviously someone I trust. But I just think it's more about that role. I want someone like that to help me oversee it. So you think about me right now. I've got Dana Holgerson as my offensive coordinator, who's been a head coach and been a long-time OC. I've got John Butler, who's been a DBC before, who's been in the NFL, who knows how to evaluate, especially in this portal era. And if I can have another elder statesman type person in there in that role, I think it frees me up to be as involved as I want to be, or as I can be. Because there's some days, guys, that I don't do any football. And I'd say there's probably more days than not that I don't do any football. And so, like even right now, bowl practice, I'm doing the best I can to get ready for the bowl. But I'm spending a lot of time, And I talked to a lot of other head coaches, who's maybe they've made offers to guys on our team. And when I talk to them about the guy on our team, they haven't even watched him yet. Like they're letting a personnel department do it. And so I don't ever want to get in that mix. I don't ever want to not be involved with who's coming and joining our team.
Oh, I did want to ask about the offense. Dana now kind of having that permanent role for the last couple of weeks. What kind of jump do you think that group can make one last time together? And then, how comforting is it to know, the last couple, 5 years you've been in a coaching job, you haven't necessarily known who your quarterback was going to be going into the next year. Now you do. How comforting is that to be able to see a guy and say, yes, we're going to be able to take him and carry him over, and the development he makes now is going to matter next year?
Yeah, you're talking about the quarterback or talking about the coordinator or both?
Quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at like the success I've had in college as a staff, we've had as a staff has been playing a freshman quarterback. The second year, them taking a step, and the third year, them becoming championship level quarterback. To me, Dylan played winning football for us this year. Really assimilating into what Dana's vision is. Having an off season, my vision is obviously this month is highly important, but the receivers in January through August, getting on the same page, and Dylan leading that and running. I think when Dylan came in last year, it was like earning his ability to speak. He was in a quarterback competition. I think now, obviously Dylan's the quarterback, and those guys, he can take that and run with it to a whole other level. And I had Joe Brady with me in Carolina. He would talk about the jump that like Joe Burrow made and getting in there with those guys starting day one of the offseason and throwing and catching. And so I think that continuity will be really important. And then Dana's vision for what will be really important. Having everyone on the same page. So that's critical. You're only a good head coach when you have great quarterback play. Just on the same page. Like there's no one in the college football playoff that ain't playing well at quarterback, basically. So you have to have a guy back there that you trust, and I trust Dylan.
All 12 of those teams are in the top 30 in scoring offense, all the college football playoff teams. I don't know where you guys were, about 90th. How much of a jump do you got to take to get where you want to go offensively?
We have to make a major jump offensively. There's no doubt, right? And so I believe we kind of in some ways have done some of that this month. I think we'll go into the bowl. The bowl's a little different now because your rosters really turn over and change going into the bowl. But really, it's this recruiting class we just brought in, plus the guys coming back, plus the portal additions that we make heading into the summer, and then the growth that we make. The days of, this is basically, it's basically, if we're being honest, 365 days a year free agency with the power in the players' hands. And so, which is what it is, right? So, I thought having an offensive guy in Dana that can adjust to that, where it's not, hey, it takes you 2 years to learn our system, while still building a system that prepares guys for the NFL. That's why I feel great about what Dana can do. So, no amount of turnover right now scares me, and no amount of additions scare me because I have a guy that can do that, and I think that's highly critical. What I will say though is when you watch a lot of those, you're watching the Georgias of the world and all them, like it's 45-28 in September and October. You watch the games down the stretch, save the Big Ten championship game, you have to play defense too. And so, we have to take a step on defense to play championship caliber defense. We also have to take 2 steps on offense to get to where we want to get to.
Hey man, have you had a chance to talk to Nate Borkature at all and get a better read on, is there a chance maybe you guys can keep him at Nebraska after?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I love Nate. And there's different kinds of portal exits and entries, and it's all been a little bit different. Nate spent most of this year wanting to get done and go take a shot at the NFL and then, see what life is. I think now, if you can go into the portal and see how much money you can get, then so be it. Like, if you're in the NFL, there's a reason why everyone in the NFL doesn't always re-sign their own free agents. The desperate teams set the market. So the worst team, we all have about the same money now moving forward, right? So the worst teams are going to pay more money, right? So, some teams are going to pay twice as much for a certain player. And so I think Nate he left very amicably, just looking at his free. And I'll say, I told him I really wish he'd play in the bowl game because he's been here for 5 years. I think it'd be good for him. But, I can't control that. But I think, he's looking at what his options are, his potential is. We see great value in Nate. Since Dana's gotten here, he's really, really, really seen a lot in Luke Lindenmeyer, and we've used him a lot. We've seen a lot in Nate. We think Carter Nelson's going to grow into one of the best tight ends. We think Heinrich is going to be a great tight end prospect, and we have some young guys that we like. And so Nate he's done everything the right way. Could he come back? Absolutely. Absolutely. Those days of if you go in the portal, you're not coming. They're over, right? But some guys want to go in there and see what their options are. Some who go in can't come back. Just because they're not the right option for us, and some who go in can come back, to be quite honest. And so this is completely different than it even was a year ago right now with the amount of money floating around in college football. And so he's finished his development. What scares me, Sean, is to think that you're going to develop in college and play somewhere as a freshman, then somewhere as a sophomore, then somewhere else as a junior. You might make a little money, but I don't know if you're really ever going to become the player you could be. I think we'll have to wait 30 years and see who's happier, the guys who went somewhere for 4 years or the guys who moved around. They'll all have to figure that out. But, so Nate's open. I'd be open to Nate coming back. But I think he's just still trying to figure out, am I going to the NFL? Am I going to see what's out there for me potentially in college? And there's a lot of financial opportunities out there right now.
You mentioned Heinrich. Has he made the full-time transition to tight end?
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll still be available as a quarterback in the bowl game, but Jalen's been working as a number 2 quarterback, and Heinrich's been pretty much full steam ahead, getting ready for next year and being sort of that FY tight end type guy.
What do you like about that?
He's probably one of the best athletes I've ever had a chance to coach. He's big, he's explosive, he's athletic, he can catch the ball, he's really smart. Heinrich can go out there, he can play tailback on one play and play X receiver on the next in terms of knowing what to do. I'm not saying all those are specific to his skill set. So, but like I said, with a play designer like Dana, I think guys who can run and catch and block, they can do it. And so I think he's gonna have a real chance there.
You've talked on multiple occasions the value of these practices leading up to a bowl game. How specifically are you utilizing these days? You're 2 weeks in, and you have 2 weeks to go before the pinstripe.
Yeah, last week and this week. Last week was Tuesday, Thursday. We didn't practice on Saturday last week, did we? Okay, sorry. It's been quite a run, guys. Right now it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday with Monday, Wednesday lifting, and then next week will be a bowl week. So a game week. So we'll do a full game week next week, Monday through Saturday. Then we'll get to the bowl site on Monday the 23rd, and we will do a bowl week game week, which will, obviously there's certain things like, hey, you need to go here to do this, you need to go there to do that. So we've been really developing guys. Like the veteran players have been doing indie and some 7-on-7, maybe some 1-on-1s, but really taking a good hard look at some of our young players and getting them ready for next year.
What's the key to keeping your sanity as a head coach in a month like this? Like you said, it's been quite a run.
I love this month. Yeah, if I can, there hasn't been a day that Julie and I have not been out somewhere and someone's walked up to her and congratulated her on being pregnant, which she's not pregnant. It's like someone put something on social media, and literally there hasn't been a day. She laughs about it. I have to just walk back, and we appreciate people for saying it. But in Julie's mind, she's like, I'm 50, and I would never announce that I'm pregnant after 4 weeks. So I would just tell everyone out there, be careful what you read. Be careful. I have people walk up to, I heard this, I heard that. There's a reason why, if you look on my phone, there is no Instagram or Twitter. And I know that's a large part of what you guys do, but the external message maybe sometime is not what we're saying here. I think we're really excited about the opportunities. You know me. I'm never going to say anything negative about anyone who leaves here. Sometimes people need to leave. Sometimes people aren't a great fit, staff-wise, player-wise. Sometimes there's guys you wish would stay, but they have to do what's right for them. But we are officially now a have. 1890, they've doubled down and they've helped us out, and now we have the rev share. We're going to have more than most people in college football. And so we have to make really good decisions. But, the staff that we've added, the people that we've added, people will text me and say, hang in there. I'm like, what are you we're 6-6. This is we're 6-6, so we got to get better. So I've really enjoyed it. Now, there's an emotional component of me that loves everyone I coach, and sometimes I worry about some guys making bad decisions. But I knew this was going to be really hard, just getting from 150 down to where we are and still adding the talent that we need to win. And so I see this as great opportunity, and this is a time that we need. So if I had one message, it would just be be careful what you hear, be careful what you listen to, be careful what you read. There's usually an agenda. A lot of people make money off of the chaos around Nebraska football. And there's things out there and I feel sometimes bad because I think sometimes you guys think I'm lying to you. There was a report that I had fired Garrett. I didn't fire Garrett. And then, honestly, the night before signing day, Garrett said, hey, my dad offered me a job. I haven't taken it yet. And, I called every recruit and said, hey, chance Garrett might leave. But I didn't know it till that night. So, but I love Garrett. He did a great job for us. He recruited Ja'Cory. He recruited Cortez. He recruited some great players for us. Now we got Tequil here. And Tequil, I think, he's going to be great. So this is a really good time, I think, for us. This is a time moving forward that we can make a jump. I expect us to make a jump. And the guys that are out there working. But there'll be a lot more perceived chaos in the coming weeks because that's what's going to happen. Some coaches have made the decision to try to keep their roster together through the bowl game. I feel like it's best to get it done now, and so we can move forward into the bowl game with who we think is going to be around. Some things will still happen, and then we can get the guys in that we want. So whereas I haven't been pro portal before because I didn't want to get rid of guys, now in this new model, we're embracing everything.
Maybe this is the case where it's also not official, but can you talk about what traits you were looking for in a D-line coach, and maybe Phil Simpson joins you?
Yeah, I hired Phil last year because I think Phil's a needle mover. He moves the needle, right? And Florida State recognized that and hired him back, right? And Phil has some family things that led him to go back, and it was a good deal for him financially, and it was very amicable when he left. Obviously, when Tony and Terrence left, and then some other guys, some of the analysts left, as I looked at the staff, I wanted a true outside backers coach, not just the jack, but we started playing some 5 down throughout the course of the year. And I just can't think of a better person to go out and recruit, retain, but also when they get here to develop and have a relationship with guys. It's recruiting is not, hey, I'll give you this. It's going to be relationship based once they're here. And I thought Phil, in the year that I had him, was excellent. He handled discipline for us. We're not changing our core values. You're still going to go to school if you come here. We don't want you to come here if you just want to use drugs. We don't want you to come here if you don't treat people well. If you do those things, you're going to have to leave. And Phil helps me with that. And he's a really good coach. So I was able to get Phil back. And then, the D-line coach, the hire is not official yet. It's not gone through the process yet. But I wanted someone from a certain system. And as I was a young D-line coach, I learned through Phil Snow. I went out to the lines. I learned from Rod Marinelli, and his D-line coach at the time was a guy named Joe Cullen. And Joe Cullen's one of the best coaches in football. And Terrence played for Joe Cullen. And so the style that we believe in, because there's lots of different styles, comes through the Joe Cullen tree. So when I had an opening, I called Joe. And Joe made some recommendations to me, and so we're going to move forward with one of those guys. I want a guy who's been in pro football. I want a guy who has great relational ability. I want a guy who can hold the guys accountable. They don't need a friend. They need a coach to help them get where they want to be. And, we have some young D linemen that I think need to make a step and can. So finding the right mix of all those things. But I went to Joe and some other coaches, and I think we hit a home run.
Hey, Matt, you mentioned after the Wisconsin game, I think, that you were going to fly out some of the older guys who graduated. Is that still the plan?
Yeah. I mean, the school's not doing it. It's Julie and I's honor to pay for that, and we love those kids. I got a text from Ethan Pipe the other day. Hey, are we coming out? I started looking at New York City prices. I was like, dang, wish we'd have gone to somewhere else, but no. Yeah, we'll fly them out, the day before the game or whatever, have them come to the game, have them be a part of it. They're a big reason why we're here. And, like I said, I really believe in the foundation that's been laid. I can't thank, Ethan Piper enough. I can't thank Nick Henrich enough, and many, many, many more. So, this is just a small way to thank them for being in a bowl game. I'm a big believer in gratitude, whereas, sometimes you'll hear like, well, I want to go to a bowl game, but it has to be this one. I want to play one more. I want to play one more month with our guys. I'm just grateful, and so I'm grateful for those players. I want them to be there, hopefully most of them can make it. Susan's handling that, so amongst 7,000 other things that she's handling. So don't worry about me this month. Worry about Susan, and worry about all the recruiting staff because they're working overtime. Anyone else? All right, thanks, guys.